Hello, this is Kevin Olson from TextLearn.com and welcome to Lesson 7.2 of the Intro to Java series. The link is in the description. In this lesson, we will be discussing classes and how they relate to object-oriented programming. So a class file can be thought of as a blueprint used for the creation of a specific type of object, and it's comprised of a collection of methods. So we have our class file, and so far we know we can make a main method and we can create additional methods, but we can also create additional class files which represent objects and give those their own specific methods. So some key terms you'll need to know related to classes are instance variables, and instance variables are attributes that are applied to certain objects. So for example, we could have a circle class, and that circle class could have instance variables, radius, and a name. So the radius could be a double and the name could be a string. And those would be the instance variables related to the circle class. So whenever we create a circle object in our main method or somewhere else in the program, we will be able to define it as having a unique radius and a unique name. The constructors are a set of methods. It's the type of method that we use to construct the object. So when we create a new object, and we've done this with scanners and things like that, scanner, my scanner equals new scanner, that new keyword constructs our new object, and we are passing it some type of parameter or argument. And when we pass it that argument, we are using a constructor. So when we pass system.in for a scanner, we are passing that to the scanner's constructor, so it is constructing that scanner object for us. That's why we can use different types of scanners with different types of streams. And if that doesn't make total sense yet, don't worry, we're going to go over it all in detail in this demo. So let's bring up Eclipse and create a new Java project, 7.2. And we will add a main method to that, or a main class. So I'm just going to call it main. Give that a main method. So we have our main method here. And now we're going to create an additional class in the same package. So new class. And we are going to call this class circle. So that will be the name of our circle. Click finish. So now we have a new class in our project called circle. So the goal here is to create a circle object, and the circle object is going to have a name and a radius. So the first thing we'll have to do is define those instance variables. So the instance variables are class level, so we want them up here, not within a method. So instance variables, and we'll have an instance variable, and typically they're going to be private, so only the circle class can actually access and modify the data. So we'll have a private double radius. The circles will have a radius, and they will have a private string circle name. So we're going to give them a radius and a name. So every circle will have its own unique name and radius. Now we're going to have to create our constructor. So the default constructor is a constructor with no parameters. And to create our constructor, we do public circle, and there's no parameters there, so that's our default constructor. So this is telling the program when we create a new circle object, this is what we want to do. So when we create a new object and we don't get any parameters passed to it, we will say the radius is going to be equal to 1.0. Oh, I don't know why I put quotes there. So the radius is going to be equal to 1.0, and the circle name will be unnamed circle. So they didn't give us a name. And that is our default constructor. So let's go ahead and create a method that will return the radius and the name of the circle. So we'll have a public method in here, so it can be accessed by the main method. So we'll have the public method get circle radius, and this will return a double, and this returns the radius of the circle, so it will return radius. So this is known as a getter method. It gets something. So now if we go back to our main class in the main method, we can create a new circle object. We can say circle, my circle, so we're calling our circle my circle, equals new circle. And now we've created our very first circle. Now we can do system out print line. The radius of my circle is plus my circle. So we're using our my circle object now. We hit period, and we can see we now have get circle radius in there. That's the method we just created, and that will return the radius of that circle. So let's run the program, and it says the radius of my circle is 1.0 because it created a new circle with the default radius of 1.0. Now let's create a constructor, an additional constructor that will take a parameter. It will have a parameter in it. So public, so let's see, constructor with radius. So if we give it a radius, so public circle, and then for our parameter, we will have a double get radius. So when we create a circle and we pass it an argument with a radius as a double, it will set the radius of our circle to that value. So it'll create a new circle with our radius, which is get radius. And the circle name, we still didn't get one from the parameter, so we'll also call this unnamed circle. So let's go back to our main method and try out that constructor now. So circle another circle equals new circle, and we're going to pass it a value of 4.5 this time. So it's going to have a radius of 4.5. We do system out print line. The radius of another circle is plus another circle dot get circle radius. So we're getting the circle radius of another circle now. When we run the program, we can see the radius of my circle is 1.0 and the radius of another circle is 4.5. So when we constructed it, when we created that new circle with the value 4.5 in there, it went to our second constructor, not the default constructor, and constructed a circle with a radius of the value that we passed it. Now finally, let's construct with radius and name. So public circle double get radius string get name. So now we're going to have a radius as the first parameter, and the name of the circle will be the second parameter. So just like last time, the radius is going to be equal to get radius. The radius of the circle is going to be equal to that, and circle name is going to be equal to get name. And let's create another method in here, public string, and this will return the name of the circle, get circle name. And that just returns the circle name. Return circle name. Okay, so let's go back to the main method, and we'll create another circle again. Yet another circle equals new circle with a value. Let's give this one a radius of 6.0 and a name of Bob. This circle's name is Bob for some reason. Then we can do system out print line. The radius of yet another circle is plus yet another circle dot get circle radius plus, and it is named, plus yet another circle dot get circle name, and end that with a semicolon. Let's run the program. And it says now, the third line here, the radius of yet another circle is 6.0 and it is named Bob. So we were able to successfully create 3 different circle objects using our 3 different constructors which we made, and we were able to use our get methods to get the values that we put in those circle objects. Now another way of accessing the instance variables is to use the this keyword, and this is something you'll see a little bit more often. It's quite similar, but instead of saying radius equals 1.0 like we did there, we can do this dot radius equals 1.0 and this dot circle name equals unnamed circle, and that means we are definitely referring to this specific or instance variable. So if we were to get rid of this, let's say we wanted to have double radius in here, we could say radius equals radius, but then now we have this keyword in there. So this radius is equal to radius. So that way we can actually use the same variable name twice in here. This is referring to this specific instance variable radius, and this is referring to the double radius. And you can even see how Eclipse highlights them separately. So when I go to highlight this radius, when we look up here, it highlights radius as an instance variable, but when I double click on this one, we can see Eclipse automatically highlighted that other radius that we got from the parameter. And we can do the same thing with this circle name. And we might as well make the change down here as well while I'm showing you this. So double radius, double circle name. And now we can do this dot radius, this dot circle name is equal to radius is equal to circle name. So that is how we can use the this keyword. So again, this is the instance variable and this is the parameter now. I'll save that, and just to show you that it works, we'll run the program again. And the radius of my circle is 1.0, another circle is 4.5, and it's still the same exact output as last time, but we just used the this keyword that time. So in addition to the get and set methods, well, what we'll do next is talk about the set methods. First, let me show you what happens if we make the circle name public. So when we make the circle name public, that means we can actually modify it from any other class. And this isn't something we'll typically do, but I just want to show you that you can do this. Yet another circle, dot, and we see here how circle name comes up, but their radius does not. That's because the radius is private and circle name is now public. So yet another circle, dot circle name equals Billy. And we can copy and paste this now. And the radius of yet another circle is, and it's named is, okay. So we run that, and we can see how we changed the name of yet another circle from Bob to Billy within the main method by making this instance variable public and accessing that instance variable directly within our main method. That's generally something we don't do, again, for like security reasons and whatnot. We leave that as private because we only want the circle class to be able to access and modify those variables. So now that I did that, circle name comes up in red because we are no longer able to access that variable. And when I run it, of course, there's going to be an error. So instead of doing it that way, what we should do is create setter methods. So setter methods are methods that we will use to set those instance variables. So we can do public void set circle radius, and that will take a double radius as a parameter. And then we do this dot radius equals radius. We'll do the same thing for a set circle name, double or string circle name. This dot circle name is going to be equal to circle name. So we save that, and now if we want to change the name of the circle in our main method, we can do yet another circle dot set circle name, and now we can change the name to Jackson, and we'll copy paste that system out print line again and see what happens. Now we can see the radius of yet another circle is 6, named Bob, and the radius of yet another circle is 6, and now we change the name of that object to Jackson. And let's just, for fun's sake, let's add the plus and it is named, get circle name, to one of our other objects. So let's say our default one, our first one that we made. So yet another circle, and we are going to change that to my circle. So now if I run this, it says the radius of my circle is 1, and it is named unnamed circle because we used the default constructor, and that default constructor gave it an automatic name of unnamed circle. So that's in short how we can use get methods, set methods, instance variables, and access control to kind of control our object. So we created a new object there. And now let's create a useful method for the circle class. So we'll create a method that actually calculates something with the information given to it. So what we would like to do is create a method which gets the area of that circle as a double. So public double get area, and this doesn't have any parameters. It just takes the, let's see, add return statement. Okay. It just takes the radius of the circle and calculates the area of it. So we can say double area is going to be equal to math.pi, and that's how we get pi. So that's math.pi times radius squared, the formula for the area of a circle. And I can use radius there, or I can use this dot radius. I should, just for consistency, we'll use this dot radius. So to get the area, we calculate the area as being math.pi times this radius, and then we can return that radius. So then we return that area. So we return area. And we could also do this all in one return statement if we wanted to, put it all in there. But just so you can see the difference there, let's keep it like that. So let's save that and let's test that out. So let's say system out println, the area of yet another circle is plus yet another circle dot get area, and that'll get the area of that circle. Let's run the program, and we can see the area of yet another circle is 113.09 and keeps going on. Alright, and as kind of a quick review exercise here, what I would like you to try to do, since I just showed you how to create a get area method, we will also want to create, let's see, am I on the right topic here? No, I'm not. I also want you to create a get circumference method, which will get the circumference of that circle. And of course, you can calculate the circumference of a circle using, let's see, circumference equals pi times diameter. So we know the radius. We know how to get pi, so to get the circumference, all we have to do is take math.pi times radius times 2, and that will give us the circumference of the circle. So create a method that does that if you'd like to, and the solution is posted on the website. Now, review exercise 7.2a, so let's just jump right into this. Create a rectangle class. So I just showed you how to create a circle class. Now, to test your knowledge out, try creating a rectangle class in addition to the circle class. And you're going to want to have an instance variable being height and width. It should have the following methods. So we'll have getWidth, which returns the width, getHeight, which returns the height, setWidth, which returns which sets the width given a double width, setHeight, which sets the height given a double height. Then you will want to create a method which calculates the area, which calculates the perimeter, and which calculates the diagonal, so going a long way across the rectangle there. And I have a note here on how we can calculate the diagonal, and you can use the Pythagorean Theorem to do that. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and so you would want to use the square root, math.square root method in order to calculate the square root to find that c. And then I also provide you with a test method. So a rectangle equals new rectangle. So for your constructor, you're going to want to have it take two double values, and the first one can be the width, the second one can be the height, whatever way you want to do it really. And then it will print out the rectangle.getArea, rectangle.getPerimeter, and rectangle.getDiagonal. So it'll print out those with 3 different test rectangles. So your goal here is to use my main method like it is, create a new rectangle class with the methods and with the exact same names that I specified, and then when you run the program, it should produce output that looks exactly like what is posted here. Okay? And the final thing we're going to discuss in this section is the toString method. So if we remember before, I have talked about how we can use the toString method to convert things to strings, and that just doesn't happen magically. There is a toString method built into pretty much every single object type in Java. If we were to go to here, let's say in our main method, let's just delete all that. Let's do system out println my circle. Let's see what happens. It prints out circle at, and then it gives us a memory address. So that's not very useful. It's just telling us where that circle is being stored in memory. And when we run the program again, it uses the same thing. But anyway, that can change, and that's really irrelevant for us. So what we want to do is create a toString method within our circle class, which will return a string representation of our circle object. So in order to do this, we just have to do public string to string. And this will return a string. So return, and we're going to return circle plus this dot circle name plus circle, and then we'll have the radius plus this dot radius. Okay. So all this method does is it returns a string composed of the message circle plus the circle name plus the radius of that circle. So now when I run the program and we use system out println my circle, it will print out using that toString method. So it says that circle is named unnamed circle and it has a radius of 1. So that's a lot nicer than what it looked like before when it had that random kind of like address in there. And review exercise 7.2b. That's a little simpler than the last one. All we want to do is keep working on that rectangle class, but add a toString method to that, which will return the length. Well, it'll return a string displaying the length and height of the rectangle. So try that out. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something, and take care.